The next topic we're going to talk about is the Ranger Point Precision and Costa Ludus collaboration rail that was released a little bit earlier this year. I finally got one. I know we did the videos, but Henry sent us out a 44 Magnum version. I finally got one built out the way I really wanted it. And that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some of the big boy calibers that are out there and some ammo considerations and just some different things to consider when kind of stepping into this lever gun side of the house. So a few years ago when I got into this, one of the first lever guns that I wanted caliber wise was a 4570. My wife's father was a big 4570 guy. He was a big truck driver, you know, massive hands. So he owned every large caliber weapon. And I remember never really exactly enjoying shooting his 4570s because he loaded them back then extremely hot. And after a little bit of time, he kind of tailored them down a little bit. He has different grains and whatnot. And after he unfortunately passed, I kind of was left with all this 4570 that he had brokered from 305s all the way up to 525 grainers loaded at different feet per second. So after playing and chronoing and some different builds, you know, I quickly started enjoying 4570. Now, he had rounds that were about 1,600 feet per second and faster. A lot of the other loads that he did have, I really started to quickly fall in love with the 4570. For me now, I've kind of narrowed it down to two general categories that I like to build. One is a 500 grainer doing about 1350. That's about my max. And I shoot that out of very specific guns. They generally have brakes on them, of course. Then the one that I've really been fancying lately is the Trail Boss, which is generally a 405 doing about 1050, maybe max 1100 feet per second. But I know a lot of you guys ask me this question: where do I find the ammo? How do I get this ammo? Man, this ammo is very expensive. It is, and it's way cheaper if you load it yourself. I'll tell you that right now. Now, it's still expensive. Just the shell casings alone empty are about $1 a casing. Now, if you go in and you go buy 500 shell casings, then you're down to about 80 cents a round. And then of course you get the gunpowder and you get the, you know, all the other components, you're still gonna come out cheaper. One of the cool things, and that's what I really like about these Dillon presses, is they make it simplified for guys like us. So this is a whole nother world. I'm still being taught how to reload. I know for others, I'll probably laugh if you guys are, you know, normal reloaders have been doing it. I did it when I was a kid, but nowadays there's a lot to it. And when dealing in large calibers, I definitely want to make sure I get it right at the end of the day. But with these Dillon systems and these presses, like I have one set up for 6.5 Creedmoor because that's an expensive round. I have my other one set up for specifically 4570. It makes it a lot better for you guys as the end user. It's a lot more cost effective. But what we're going to talk about next is how do we still enjoy that big boy caliber 4570, but get the feel of the lever gun, get the loading sequence down of the lever gun without paying that dramatic price. And that's what we're going to talk about next, is moving into the handgun caliber side of the house. One of the nice things about the handgun caliber side that I really like is 357 and 44 Magnum, you can usually find at most gun shops. Yeah, they still may be pricey and you may even want to consider reloading those as well. It's only going to be cheaper. One of the nice things about 357 and 44 Magnum is that you can also shoot 38 Special and 44 Special. Those rounds are generally traveling under 1,000 feet per second, which makes them a Cadillac for shooting suppressed. It's so quiet. People come over and, you know, you're used to that 9mm suppressed gun running subsonic. And man, these guns sound great in those particular calibers. So along that route, it's just another option. What I will tell you is this: you will shoot more of 38, 44 special or the Magnum loads than you will the 45-70. But what's nice is you can still go out there and enjoy the gun without that big boy price kind of attached to it. So just something for you guys to think about as another option. So for me, I wanted to start shooting more suppressed. So one of the first guns that I got was a Henry that they sent Ranger Point Precision, and we got it all set up. And then after the collaboration that we just got done doing with Ranger Point and building a particular rail system with Ranger Point, I wanted it on a 44 Magnum. I hadn't had one yet, so I wanted to see what one was like. And I'll be honest, it is a great in-between. That 357 is a Cadillac all day long. The 44 Magnum gives you a little bit more thump. Again, to be able to run these guns suppressed and to also be able to shoot them a little bit more, I think is a huge benefit. So the next thing we're gonna go into is the actual build. One of the nice things that I like, especially about Ranger Point Precision and people that are leading in the industry, this is a second version rail that they have designed, right? So this happens to be on a Henry. This is a 45-70. I've already talked about this gun in another video. You can find it online. But I just wanted to kind of show you the result of this collaboration as we jump into this Henry right here, and we greatly appreciate Henry and all the support that they've done for us along the way. So what you're gonna see here is a modular rail system. This is a 44 Magnum, and I'll start covering the entire gun. So the first thing that we'll look at is this stock right here. You can see it's very skeletonized. Basically, it has what you need, and anything else, it's not on there. One of the other things that I like, it does have a cheek riser, and this is the way the cheek riser would mount. You can see it's very streamlined, very low profile. One thing that I really like about this stock is that the ammunition, I can get in there and grab it. I don't have to worry about a cheek piece or a cheek riser being in the way of me getting shells out. And that's kind of an important thing because under duress, we generally don't, grab things perfectly. So again, keeping it simplified, I really like. As we're moving up on the gun, Loudon Gunworks did this build. This is a JK Armament suppressor. This one works for my 45-70, and it also works for this 44 Magnum as well. I mean, we're talking about 1,300 feet per second, so not a really fast round as compared to what we could be doing on a 45-70. This optic, I know somebody's always gonna ask me about it. This is a mount done by Anvil. This is a 509 hollow sun that's mounted on it. I know you guys are gonna ask, hey, can I actually see this little bit of sight right here? This mount was primarily designed for an RMR or like a 508 hollow sun. So what happens is when you put the plate there and then you put the 509 on top, you are just barely going to be able to see that front sight. You're really not going to see the rear because you'll see it kind of sits under just a little bit. But on those other two optics that I talk about, it works perfectly. For me, this Anvil mount works great with this 509, the way it's configured and the way I have it set up. These quivers are done by Ranger Point as well. One of the things that I like about it, and man, this is really hard. If you're looking at speed, to me, these take a little bit longer to come out, right? Like they come out, but I look at it as they're more secured. And here's my opinion on this. Some of them that extend out, the problem is every time you put this gun down, every time you bag this gun, every time you're gonna just get up on a fence post, lay this gun down, this thing can fit flush. I don't have to worry about my round sticking out and then popping up. I also don't have to worry about trying to set them at a certain point because just like shotgun rounds, once you start firing and you get a certain amount of recoil in there, these things start vibrating out. So it makes it a challenge. So there's a lot of different options that are out there. This one, because I'm pretty abusive with my equipment, is the one that works best for me. Again, there's some other good options that are out there. Just understand what you're getting into, okay, in regards to pros and cons. And I think most things in this industry, we can all agree there's a pro to it and a con as well. So getting into this rail design, this rail is in 3 pieces. 1, 2, and then an actual receiver rail. A lot of people ask, why did we do it this way? Well, first of all, we wanted it to be modular. We wanted the end user to be able to make the choice today and then change their mind a month or 6 months from now when you get a new scope and a new optic and you take this off and you put it on a different gun. You don't have to go buy another rail. Because really, in essence, what you're going to do is you're going to lie to your wife. You're going to end up buying another gun to get another rail on it, because why would you want to take this off when you can just have another gun, right? And then you lie to her, and then she asks, where did you get that? And then you say, I'm sponsored and shit by Marlon and Henry, and they sent it to me for free. And of course, she calls bullshit on it. So nevertheless, in an effort to keep you out of some trouble, we built this to be modular. If you need these rails, great. If you want to have a receiver rail in this particular rail, you can get it. You don't need these. Or you can take this middle section rail, take this off, no receiver rail, and spin this around where it cantilevers over just a little bit and mount an optic just to that. And then keep the gun as lightweight as possible. My thing is, especially when it comes to being out here where we're at and carrying a gun and moving with a gun, is you want this stuff as lightweight as possible. I really don't want to add any more than is absolutely necessary. Now, some people like lasers, night vision devices, and all that extra equipment. So good for them. If that's you, well, then you get the other rail sections and you're good to go. We tried to build this rail like Burger King, which is you get it your way. You can change your mind at any moment and still have the flexibility with this particular rail to be able to adjust based on what it is that you're doing. We're pretty excited about it. I like this modularity. The rail also has these little knurls built in here where you can get a good purchase on it. These scales and this little hand stop right here, I really like this. It's by Practical Innovations. And there are some great videos out there on the installation of this rail. One done by Wolf Prairie's Outdoor. They did an outstanding video. He does a great job of talking about what it is he's going to specifically do, and then he fast forwards it real quick so you have time to do it, but you don't have to sit through the whole time it takes him to set this up. He did an outstanding video, again, on just proper installation for this particular rail. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, we want you guys, the end user, to have some flexibility. Out here, like I said, when I'm doing certain things, some of my guns have these rails on them, some don't. So again, just giving you a little bit of flexibility as the end user to make some decisions or change some decisions. So we hope you really liked it.